Welcome to this episode of My VA Disability Claim. All right, today you see it right there. We're talking about the three elements of service connection. I'm Carter Hughes, as always, the helpful veteran, right? And what we pretty much do with all these sessions is we try to help you find what's important so you won't get distracted by the distractions, right? That's kind of the intention behind what we do. Right? Help you identify what's important so you don't get distracted by the distractions. Every daily billboard that we have on the site, right, or poster presentation, that's what this is, poster presentation. This gives you kind of a snapshot of those major aspects of a process, right? Simple, but major, right? Again, simple, but major. That's what we provide. You can see it on the playlist here on the channel or on the actual website, the Carter Hughes Knowledge Institute. We teach you these things so that you'll have confidence as you go through these claims processes, right? If it's your first claim, it probably won't be your last claim, right? Like, it's rare that it probably won't be your last claim. So going forward, you may bump into this process again, whether it's with this or with like a clothing allowance, whatever the case. We wanted to help you to know what's important so you don't get distracted by the distraction. All right, now with this one today, we're going to go through these three elements for you. And after the first element, I got a little joke for you, right? I'll share it with you after this first element. So let's get right into it, right? Three elements of service connection. Now, when you file a claim, keep in mind what you're saying is, I have a chronic disability and it was caused by military service. So that's what you have to prove, right? That's what you have. You have to prove that it's a chronic disability and it was caused by military service. So we just took that sentence and we baked it down to, okay, there's three things we got to prove. Number one is the in-service event or the in-service diagnosis. That's number one that we got to prove. Number two, the current medical diagnosis, right? We got to prove that as well. And then number three, evidence of that connection, the chronicity, the nexus, the link between your current medical diagnosis and what happened in the military. That's the third thing we got to prove, right? So it's three clear things, right? Three simple but clear things that we got to prove. And number one is documentation of the in-service event or in-service diagnosis. Now we say event or diagnosis because that disability that you have, it could be caused by an event, like something that happened, right? Fell off a truck, fell off a ladder, went to the bar, got into a fight, whatever the case, right? I got a win, but I took some L's as well. Traumatic brain injury from an explosion, whatever the case, there's an event that happened that caused your current condition. That's one way. Another way is you were diagnosed with something while you were in the service and now you're filing a claim for it, right? Hypertension is a common one. Diabetes type 2, whatever the case, right? I was in the service and got diagnosed with it. Now I'm out of the service, right? 1 year later, 10 years later, 20 years later. And I still have it, so I'm filing a claim for it, right? So that's the evidence of that in-service event or in-service diagnosis. When we talk about evidence with this VA claims process, we simplified that too. It's either records or statements. Huh? Come on now, slow it down. It's either records or statements. Whatever evidence you have to prove each of these elements is either going to be records, right? Medical records, incident reports, police reports, personnel file, whatever the case, or it's going to be statements. A buddy statement from somebody who served with you, a personal statement from you, a lay statement from somebody who's observed you after you separated. But that's what it's going to be though, right? Again, we want to keep it simple. We want to keep it useful. Simple, useful. We help you find what's important so you don't get distracted by the distractions, right? So this number one, this in-service event or in-service diagnosis, we're going to prove that through records or statements, right? I have a record showing that I got diagnosed while I was in the service. Here you go. Or I got records that this incident took place, right? I got in a car accident and now I'm filing for mental health as a result. Here's the record of the car accident, right? But that's what we're talking about, records or statements for that first element. And you can see right here, right there actually, check the rating schedule. The rating schedule is important in this process. The rating schedule tells you exactly how the VA is going to rate your condition, right? It pretty much says if you have this, this, and this, this will get you 10%. If you have evidence of this, this, and this, that'll get you 20 or 30 or 40. So the rating schedule is important. Filing within a year of separation, if that is a possibility, do that. Increases the chances significantly that what you filed for will get approved, right? All right, now for the joke. I promised the joke. Here's the joke. All right, so husband and wife are golfing, right, at a country club. They're on the back nine. I think it was like hole 11, right? They're golfing. Husband on the fairway hits the ball. It busts the window. Whoosh, right? Oh my goodness, husband and wife, you always bust somebody's window, right? Oh no. But they're good people, so they go over, right? They want to go tell the person, hey, we busted your window. Sorry, we'll pay for it. How much are the damages, right? Good people, solid people. I like these people. So they go, they go and knock on the door. On the fourth knock, the door kind of opens up, right? So there you go, whoa. You go, hello, hello, right? Push the door open, hello. Guy walks down the stairs, dressed funny, right? He says, thank you, thank you. They're a little surprised. He said, no, I'm a genie. I've been trapped in this house for 2,000 years. And you just set me free when you busted the window, right? So the genie says, because you freed me, obviously, and I'm a genie, I'll give you 3 wishes. I'll grant 3 wishes that you want me to grant. So husband and wife get together, of course, right, man, 3 wishes. Hey, come on now, let's do it. So number 1, first wish. Husband says, I want to own 25 Mercedes. I want them at my home, 25 Mercedes. The genie says, no problem, done. Mercedes at your home right now. The wife, right? The wife says, I want us to have a home in every state, 1 home in every state. At least 4,000 square feet, right? Big, nice home, all that good stuff. Genie says, done, right? 1 more wish at this point, 1 more wish. So of course, it's got to be a money wish, right? So they say, hey, look, we want $100 million in our accounts. Genie, done, right? So they're excited, husband and wife, excited, right? They just set the genie free. He just granted these incredible wishes. So boom, time to go. Genie says, oh, hold up. I've been in here 2,000 years, right? I've been in here 2,000 years, and I granted you your wishes, but I do want one thing from you. Husband and wife look at each other. Okay, what is it? Genie says, well, again, 2,000 years I've been in here. After all I've given you, I've just changed your life, right? I'd like to sleep with your wife. Husband and wife taking it back a little bit, right? Look at each other, hey, right? Then they think about all the stuff. Which is kind of, I feel like a natural thing, right? In that situation, you gotta be like, hey, you really just kind of, right? So they discuss it for a couple minutes, and they say, yeah, okay, Genie, you can do it. All right, so the genie takes his wife in the bed, right, doing that thing. He's been there 2,000 years, so he's trying to do everything, right? So they're going at it, boom. They finish up, and then they're sitting in bed, both of them, laying in bed, actually. Genie smoking a cigarette. And the genie asks the wife, he says, how old is your husband again? And she says, oh, he's 45. Genie hits the cigarette again. He says, oh, wow. And he still believes in genies? All right. All right, element 2, here we go. Element 2 is a current medical diagnosis, right? So you got to show that you have evidence of having this disability, a medical diagnosis. If I file for knee condition, I need a medical diagnosis of osteoarthritis, degenerative joint disease, whatever the case. If I file for back, I need lumbar or lumbrosis, or like an official medical diagnosis. If you just have symptoms, you can file for that, but the VA is going to send you to an exam to see if there is a current medical diagnosis there. So if you have that beforehand, right? If you can come in with your own current medical diagnosis, whether you get it from a private doctor, a VA medical center, it doesn't matter. As long as it's a doctor and it has an official medical diagnosis, that's going to be important when you file that claim as well, right? How do we prove the medical diagnosis? Records. The statements, you can do a statement to talk about the symptoms, but again, the VA is then going to send you to an exam to see if they can get an official medical diagnosis, right? So that first element, again, the in-service event or diagnosis. Second element is evidence of a current medical diagnosis. And then we got number 3, evidence of the connection between the in-service event or the in-service diagnosis and the current medical diagnosis. With the diagnosis, right, that's pretty straightforward. If you're diagnosed with hypertension while you're in the service and you still have it 10 years later, that one's pretty straightforward. For something like the physical, a knee, a mental health, what you're going to have to do is show evidence of that in-service event, evidence of a current medical diagnosis if you have it, but also evidence, the third element, that you've been suffering from this condition since you separated up until now. And if you've been going to the doctor, that could be medical records showing, hey, look, I've been going to the doctor for this condition since I separated up until now. If you haven't been going to the doctor, now you're going to need statements, a personal statement from you saying this is what I've been experiencing, right, since I separated up until now. Lay statements from people around you, co-workers, whatever the case. Hey, this is what I've witnessed, the symptoms, right, the symptoms from the time they separated up until now. But again, evidence comes down to either records or statements, right? That's it. We're keeping it simple. Keep it simple. Keep it useful so you don't get distracted by the distractions, right? Records or statements for that third element, right? And then you also see more likely than not. That's specific language from a Nexus letter. Nexus letters are used when you file a claim with the VA and they deny it, saying that there's no nexus. We don't see a nexus link. A Nexus letter can help you to kind of get over that hurdle. And the language for the Nexus letter, you can see it right here actually. It's in front of me, obviously. But over there, also, more likely than not. And check your records for diagnosis, official medical diagnosis, and for symptoms. All right? Those symptoms and the diagnosis, both going to be important, right? So those are the 3 elements. And again, all we're trying to do is to help you identify what's important in this claims process. Evidence of an in-service event, that's important. Evidence of a current medical diagnosis, that's important. Evidence of chronicity, meaning you've been suffering from it from separation till now, that is important, right? Don't be distracted by the distractions. Don't take it personal. Try not to take it personal if you can, right? Stay focused on, hey, proving these elements. Do I have records or statements to prove this? Do I have records or statements to prove this, right? Do I have records or statements to prove this? Keep it simple. If you got questions, again, send them in. Email, through the website, in the comment section, whatever the case. I got a lot of claims approved in my day, right? When I was filing claims. Millions of dollars, right? Hundreds of happy, satisfied people. And the only reason is because I kept it simple. You know, I kept it simple. Since I learned about these 3 elements, that's where I stayed. I stayed laser focused on that, right? As long as we can prove bing, bong, and bing, it's getting approved. Don't worry about nothing else. That was my approach to it. As long as we can prove these 3 things, it's getting approved. We're not worried about nothing else. And it was successful, right? Over and over and over again. I used to give people checklists. That's where the checklist and the guidebook and all that stuff come from. When I help people, I would give them checklists. Hey, this is the evidence that you need to go get, right? You need evidence for this. Whether it's records or a statement, this is the evidence that you need. Folks would follow the checklist, right? It was a way for me to kind of stay with them even after they left the office. They follow the checklist, come back with the evidence. Boom, we get it approved. Now it's a celebration. You know what I mean? Now, hey, man. People are trying to give me so many different things after they get a good claim approved, you know, because that could be significant. That could be a significant change in a person's life. All right. But again, the key for me, keeping it simple, helping you to identify what's important and what's not important. That was the major key for me. So that's what we always are going to share here on this channel, whether it be veterans, disability stuff, or training and employment stuff, or education stuff, or career stuff, or self-improvement. It's all the same thing. Simple, useful, right? An idea can change a person's life. I understand that. I take that very seriously. So I try to be a provider of ideas, right? This stuff is not just going to help you. You could take it and help other people too. Huh? Look at what we just did there. Huh? You know what I mean? That's a positive thing. That is a positive thing. But we don't want you to, be walking through the room in the dark. We try to turn the lights on for you. That's what all this stuff. We trying to hit the light, turn the light switch on so you can see what's going on. You can see what's important. You can see what you need in order to get that 20% or that 30% or that, whatever the case, right? All right, that's it. Hey, as always, learn the information, huh? Use the information, huh? And if you deem it to be valuable, don't be selfish. Everything I know, somebody else taught me, right? Don't be selfish. Share the information, huh? Hey, and have an incredible day. Come on!